Welcome back to the Ringer Gambling Show. I'm your host, Tate Frazier. It's the Tuesday edition, so you know what that means. We got Cousin Sal in the place to be. Sal, how you doing on this Tuesday morning?
I'm doing fine. I'm happy to see you. I know you attended that crazy Chargers-Eagles game. No shiners, no black eyes, no busted up lips. You kept your mouth shut for 3.5 hours. Good job by you.
Yeah, luckily, the Eagles fans, they weren't going to take their vitriol out on too many Chargers fans. It was probably about, 75, 25 Eagles fans in that building. I had a Chargers shirt on, Sal, which was, a tough proposition when you go into that game. But luckily, I brought a jacket. So on the way out, zip that jacket up to, preserve and protect myself.
It probably seemed like 75-25. But what if everybody was like you, like just hiding their fandom or wearing an Eagles jersey just because they didn't want to get their ass kicked? It might have been could have been 90% Chargers fans there who were just afraid.
Yeah, maybe Chargers friends and family are smart enough at this point just to wear the other team's, opposing clothes. Maybe it's a good way to jinx the other team. I don't know. But a lot of Eagles fans came out in Los Angeles, wanted to give them some credit because they completely took over SoFi. And in that game, Sal, we could talk about it. Monday Night Football, obviously, Eagles, Chargers. It felt like both teams really wanted a tie in this game until Tony Jefferson gets that late pick and it ends finally. But both teams just doing everything they could to throw that game away, right?
The Ringer Gambling Show is presented by FanDuel. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live, and your way so you can build the bet that fits your parlay. Plus, don't miss out on holiday offers and surprises all month long. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/gamblers to get started. 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut.
So ugly. Such an ugly game. 8 turnovers, 6 in the first half. I was rooting for 10. I said, can we get to 10? Obviously, as a Cowboys fan, I'm rooting against the Eagles half-heartedly because I don't want to get sucked back in. But, boy, this Jalen Hurts thing is a problem. And the offensive line wasn't great either, and we thought that with Lane Johnson being out. But 21 for 40, 4 interceptions, really could have had about 6 or 7. I don't know what's going on with Jalen Hurts. They should come out with hey, this guy's been playing with a separated shoulder and his ear fell off or something, so he can't even play. So, but I would not take him over any current playoff quarterback right now. Would you?
Wow. I saw it last night in person. I'm in the end zone, so when you're behind the play, you can kind of see the first throw was there for a lot of them. And in fact, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. First throw of the game, he goes deep to A.J. Brown, hits his hand. A.J. Brown can't make the play. He also had a touchdown pass late that A.J. Brown also wasn't able to pull in. So a couple of reasons to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But also, Sal, have you ever seen this before? He throws a pick on a play. It's returned. He recovered, and then a forced fumble. He recovers that, and then he gets hit again and fumbles. So he had 2 turnovers on one play. That was just the type of game it was. It was.
I haven't seen ridiculous. It because it's never happened before. According to Elias Sports Bureau, a player has never had 2 turnovers in the same play. I'll say this also, and I have a friend who got bit by this. I think he single-handedly swung more fantasy leagues, probably hundreds of millions of dollars, by not getting our friend Brother Bry. We're in this guillotine league. I know nobody cares about this, but I'm going to drop some names. He had to knock out Paul Rudd. Yes. I'm going to drop some names.
Wow.
All he needed was 5.5 points from Jalen Hurts to knock out Rudd and advance to the Final Four. And in this league, you get all the Eagles quarterbacks points. So if it's Tanner McKee or Jalen Hurts, for a non-injury start, this was the worst maybe of all time in fantasy football.
Yeah, Tanner McKee was getting cheers as he went out. Before they get out on the field, both quarterbacks come out, they throw it to receiver, they pass it back and forth with each other. When he's throwing the ball, the Eagles fans were cheering, and I'm like, these guys are just obsessed with the backup quarterback. It's the Nick Foles syndrome with this whole fan base a little bit. But yeah, very strange game, a very odd game. Again, there were so many different moments where you thought, well, hey, that will flip the game here. Maybe the Eagles will figure it out. They're driving late in overtime, looking like they could score a touchdown until that final interception. So just a very strange overall experience. And it's really hard. I mean, I know you and Bill were talking about this. It's just really hard to handicap the Eagles because, they could turn and become the team that we saw last year. They are still the champs. We forget this as we watch this team, but it feels like that's long ago. It feels very far removed at this point.
Their defense was very good last night. They only allowed 275 yards, and that's including overtime. And, Herbert, you look at his stats, he was 12 for 26. We go after Hurts. Herbert 12 for 26, 139. Not great, but I think the difference was he ran for important yardage, right? He moved the chains, what used to be the chains. There's no chains anymore. I think he had 10 rushes, 66 yards. He was pressured all night. He got sacked 7 times, and they squeaked that one out. And it was a absolute must-win for the Chargers if you look forward at their schedule.
Yeah, let's look at the odds here. NFC East in particular, AFC West odds. Chargers, if you look at the playoff picture, they're about a 76% chance right now to make the playoffs. Do you feel good about the Bolts as a playoff team? Because they love keeping a game within reach. I mean, that entire game, it just felt like, how can you not get ahead 2 possessions at least? And they just kept it 1 possession all the way down into the end.
They're so weird. I mean, as you saw as a season ticket holder, why you do that, I don't know why. They're I have no idea. But
Glutton for punishment, I think.
They don't have home field advantage. They're right now, playoff odds are minus 375, and it's a tough road to get to 10 wins. They're at the Chiefs, at the Cowboys, home for the Texans, probably the team you don't want to face the most, and at the Broncos. They'll be a dog in 3 of those games, and they have to hope probably that Denver game doesn't mean anything in Week 18 for the Broncos. So I think minus 375 is a little bit high. The only other thing is, who takes it from them? I feel like the Chiefs are done, even if they beat the Chargers here. I'm counting the Texans in. Who would grab that 7th seed?
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, it really doesn't look like anybody else. I mean, the Colts are sitting there at number 8 right now. The Chiefs have about 11% chance, according to the NFL playoff predictor there to make the playoffs. So they're kind of on the outside looking in, like you said. Texans are looking like a team that's going to be a great game, by the way, December 27th. When
that's
the Texans
probably for
come
the
to
6th
town.
seed. Yeah, Simmons and I talked about how that's likely for the 6th seed. But and then
I think that's a 60-40 game. I don't know how many Texans fans are flying out for that game, Sal. So maybe the Chargers fans can wear their uniforms and the shirts and everything else and not be scared of the fan base. We'll see.
When is that?
Fingers
Christmas?
crossed.
That sounds like a
December
shaky bowl
27th.
game.
Yeah,
the 27th. Okay, all right. So that is that a Saturday game? I think that's Saturday. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But yeah. So then you look, and I'm hesitant now with this Cowboys Eagles thing because you look at it, they're minus 1,000 to win the division. The Eagles, Cowboys are plus 750. I think that's about right. And only because the Eagles, as bad as they've been, they're going to face Marcus Mariota twice, and they're going to face who is it? Is it it's Kenny Pickett next week, right? Against the Raiders. So, I mean, if this isn't handed to them at this point, I don't know what to do. I felt like it's a win-win because either the Cowboys get in or we get to bet like $400,000 against the Eagles in the first round of the playoffs. So
yeah, I feel like that's save your money for that bet. That's what I would say. After seeing it in person last night, it just feels like something's a little bit off. It was nice to see Saquon have a little bit of juice in that game, but again, this is not the Eagles team that we saw last year. Let's flip. Let's do some Tuesday headlines. We had some shockers. This is one of the biggest stories in sports right now. Notre Dame, Sal, in case you missed it, they had a Rudy moment. They went in, they turned in their jerseys. They said, we do not want to play college football anymore. Because they're not going to let us play in the CFP. What do you think about this? And now they've turned their ire against the ACC, so we got a beef Notre Dame versus the ACC. Your thoughts on this?
What did the ACC do? They
campaigned for an ACC team.
They campaigned for their team to get in. Yeah. That's it. Okay. Biden's upset with Trump. All this campaigning he did for himself. Yeah, only one of them was going to get in. So if that. So I don't know. I just look. No matter how you look at it, somebody gets screwed in this system, right? There's just no way that everybody's happy. Most people are happy if you don't include the Tulanes and the James Madisons, and then a Notre Dame, Miami, Alabama, they could all get in. But no way everyone's going to be happy. I guess they got screwed. Why? Because they were ranked higher than Miami and nothing happened, and then they dropped below Miami. I get it. That sucks. Should have been underneath them. Would have been an easier pill to swallow if they were below Miami going into this week. But we're Notre Dame, and we don't need to be in a conference. Just put us in. Enough already. 100 years from now, they'll be conferenceless, and we'll still have to put them in. And now they signed a contract saying next year, if they're top 12, they're automatic. What is this cutting side deals? What is this crap?
Yeah, this is a lot of politicking for college football.
Yeah.
I guess politicking has something to do with college football. I guess it always has at some level. But yeah, this is a next level situation. Also, it feels like bowl season with all these teams opting out. They couldn't even figure out how to fill up all the bowl slots. They're calling 5-7 Auburn. They're like, you guys want to play? They're like, nah, we're good. They're calling Florida State 5-7. They're like, nah, we're okay. We don't want to play in a bowl game. So even teams that win 5 games don't want to play in bowl games.
Yeah, people are busy in the holidays. Yeah, they don't want to do it. Yeah.
I had a question. Why didn't they call Bill Belichick, though? We would have played, Sal.
Speaking of Belichick, I feel like Belichick's girl, Jordan, should sue Notre Dame for putting down the ACC. I don't know if that's, she has a great legal team. So
yeah, she'll do her work. She'll get in a public records request. She'll see what she can figure out. Is there a solution to all this mess? Like, I mean, every single year they change the CFP model, so we have no precedent, which is why they're able to get away with all this stuff. Notre Dame, rightfully so, is upset because they're like, hey, we watched this stupid Tuesday night show. You guys had us ranked above Miami the entire time. And then we get to the final show. We're about to celebrate all together, and you guys, jump us when we didn't play and Miami didn't play. So, I mean, if they don't have the Tuesday night show, maybe they're not as upset. But again, is there any fix here, Sal?
There's first of all, let me just say, if it was up to me, I would have done exactly the same. Bama and Miami are in. I don't like penalizing Bama for losing in the top 2 conference title game, especially when Miami and Notre Dame didn't have to play in a conference championship game. Notre Dame not in a conference, so never going to play in it. So that's how I would have had it. Not a popular decision, obviously. But the solution, I think like 5 things need to happen. Yeah, get rid of the Tuesday show. That's fine. I don't care. I didn't really watch anyway. But change the calendar. First of all, this Lane Kiffin stuff is nonsense. You can't force these kids to decide immediately if they want to transfer. And this is a coach thing. Like, they could change the calendar. I'm not even getting to the top 12 yet. But these coaches want their team set by January. It's not the NCAA. They would change everything, but the coaches want it. So to hell with the coaches. Sorry. We don't need guys opting out of the playoffs, right? Like, I joked about that last year. I'm like, Ashton Genty could see that Boise doesn't have a shot in the playoffs. Why wouldn't he sit out? And now we're going to see that, and that sucks, right? Secondly, we need a computerized ranking system, taking into a number of factors: wins, top 20 wins, top 10 wins, strength of schedule, strength of conference, everything. It takes the politics out of it, right? So if you end up with a 97.2 ranking and you're ahead of Notre Dame, you get in. And it has nothing to do with, ESPN wanted this or this. So we did it with batting averages, right? We did hits divided by at-bats, and that's who won the batting title. It wasn't relying on the eye test. We got to get a Ken Palm type system where everybody agrees on the factors, and then that's it going forward.
Yeah, watch out with that Ken Palm system. Then the computers control you, Sal, and
I know,
it's a slippery slope too.
So work backwards. So if this is the 12 teams you want in, work backwards and figure out which factors have so much weight so that you get these 12 in, and then that's your number system. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm with you. And make head-to-head the most, valuable factor in all of it.
Head-to-head for sure.
And I think that was sort of the issue with all this, where, head-to-head was being viewed as a factor, not the final say, which I think is fair, but also it should be weighted a little bit heavier than your strength of record or strength of schedule, whatever other metric you want to throw into the mix. So again, like you said, everybody and anybody was going to have a reason, a gripe to be upset if they didn't make the playoff. BYU was upset. Vanderbilt's upset. Texas is like on the outside yelling, hey, we're also upset. Don't forget about us. And obviously Notre Dame is probably the team that has the most reason to be upset. But again, they decide to take their ball and go home. But let's flip forward. Go ahead,
real quick, like a quick fix, right? Because they're not going to do any of the crap I just mentioned. A quick fix is to go to 16 teams, right? As these championship weeks, and I hated this week. It really was kind of meaningless, right? I mean, watching Georgia, Alabama, and the regular season game was so much more important than this. And watching Indiana, Ohio State, it's like, yeah, great. Oh, we missed the field goal. One's a 1 seed, one's a 2. It doesn't really matter, just for the Heisman, basically. But go to 16 teams, use that December 12th week as the first week, and maybe even get rid of the championship weeks. Sorry. And then maybe, if you use that December 12th week as round 1 for the playoffs, then you're utilizing 4 of those bowl games that nobody cares about, right? That's what that could become. So
yeah, maybe you make the championship week like a showcase week, and it's teams on the fringe that end up scheduling their own matchups, and we get to see Vanderbilt play,
that's
Notre Dame or something like that. And then, the winner of that team maybe gets weighted a little bit differently, and they try to get in. I don't know. There's ways to fix this, but again, they change it every single year, so we have no precedent. Nobody knows what is going on. And again, there's 12 guys sitting in a room with their laptops on their lap, and they're all implicated in their own way. They all have affiliations to different schools and different programs and different conferences. So it's all very confusing. But Notre Dame, at the end of the day, you have no allies, and you learn your lesson this year. And I also feel like, Sal, there's a human aspect of this where they left Miami out as the first team last year. If they do it back-to-back years, Miami as a university and as a program is going to be like, are you picking on us? You know? So I feel like they just had to go somewhere else with this.
No, I said that to a friend. I was like, they're an equal opportunity screw jobbers there, this committee. Like last year, they're like, we don't care if you're Alabama, and we don't care that you were ranked in top 10 before the final week and where you didn't even play. We're kicking you out. Same thing with Notre Dame. We don't care that you're perennial, Rudy, the movie from 40 years ago. We have to still be beholden to that. No, sorry, you're out too. So every year they screw someone big differently.
Yeah. Did you realize that Joe Montana hates the movie Rudy, and he hates
Is that right?
Rudy? Yeah, apparently. I saw a clip of that the other day. Joe Montana was like, we all made fun of Rudy. I don't really understand, why people like that movie so much. It's not true. It's like, it's a movie.
Yeah, right, exactly. He wanted Favreau. He wanted Favreau to play the Rudy part.
There you go. Sean Astin, I thought he did a good job. Let's look at the CFP. Let's look at the 12 teams because we have them here. And we also have the odds, Sal. Ohio State, obviously the favorite, plus 220. A little bit of a disrespectful there to Indiana, who's the number 1 seed. But Indiana's there at number 2, plus 290. Georgia, you and I gave out at the beginning of the season to win the CFP. They're number 3 right now, both as a seed and with the odds at plus 550. Oregon, the Ducks, plus 800. So those are your top 4 right there. If you look at these odds, is there any team outside of sort of those 4 favorites, Sal, that you can sort of look at the bracket, talk yourself into that particular team, and you see a path for them to make a run to the championship?
So there are 3 teams at 22-1, Ole Miss, Miami, and Alabama. Of those 3, I would take Alabama. That's the long shot I would go with because everyone's down on them, but they are a strong team, right? So they beat Georgia, they beat Vandy, they beat Missouri, they beat Tennessee. Everyone wants to talk about their losses. They lost a tight one to Oklahoma. This is the one obviously that Oklahoma game, first round, great. Probably the best matchup. And then you play Indiana. So it's going to be interesting for Kalen DeBoer's team. That's the long shot I would take a chance with. But do you want to go over these one by one? Like Ohio State, plus 220. What are your thoughts on them?
I think that the top 2 seeds, yet again, have a tougher draw than the 3 and 4 seeds, just looking at the bracket, which I do find very fascinating. And last year, the bye ended up being a problem in the playoff. And I do feel like getting a first game, getting a home game, getting some momentum, getting some legs in the playoff, getting a little bit of experience, figuring out who your team is at that point is actually an advantage. And then you go to a neutral site with a team that just played, has a little bit of confidence, has a little bit of momentum on their side. And it seems like it kind of hurts the teams that have a bye. So even with just looking at Ohio State, I mean, Miami and Texas A&M, I feel like those are the livest teams that are kind of outside of the top 4 that you really don't want to see. Texas A&M, obviously a chip on their shoulder. They lose their last game at Texas. They've been a top 3 team all season long. Some people were arguing they should be the number 1 seed before they go to Texas. And now you potentially, if you're Ohio State, have to play them. And then if Miami wins on the road at A&M, they're going to get a lot of confidence. They have a really good quarterback in Carson Beck on a given day. Malachi Toney, one of the best playmakers in college football. And that Miami defense is electric. So, I mean, that's a tough matchup for Ohio State.
Good spot.
Yeah,
interesting.
Right.
I'm looking at the numbers because before this week they were plus 150 to win the title before the Indiana game. Now they're plus 220. I feel like this is either the best team or the second best team. And I rejected that championship game out of hand, not because they lost, before the game. So what? Missed field goal was going to be close. They're just solid from top to bottom, a top 5 in the nation in everything. And they've been involved in a couple of nail biters and big wins, right? Texas was a close one. Illinois at the time, they were good. They thrashed them, right? Michigan, good one. Penn State, for what it's worth. I just like that plus 220 versus the 150. Do you think they should be favored over Indiana?
Yes, I do think that. And I do feel like Indiana, that championship game, not to say that it, not to use it just means more SEC trope here, but I do feel like it meant more for Indiana to send a message that they were actually the team that we suspect them to be. They needed to prove that for their own confidence sake. And I think Ohio State maybe, okay with, obviously you're not okay losing any game, but you're okay to say, hey, we got a little bit of juice in the room now. We come back, we play the tape, and now everybody's fired up, and we can make a run like we did last year. So I'm okay with Indiana being at plus 290. It's incredible that they're the number 1 seed in the CFP. I think, if you told somebody that in 2019, they'd be like, what the hell happened to college football? And then you show them NIL and everything else. And Kurt Signetti, you could Google him. He's pretty good. So I think it is fascinating, though, that Ohio State, I still am a little bit worried about the offense, but the defense is going to keep them in every game. Like, what team can score 20 points on Ohio State? That's really the question to me, and I think that's a nice thing to have in your back pocket, that type of defense.
Yeah, and, Indiana's defense is vastly undervalued, too. Probably maybe the best in the country. I'll have a bet with them involving them later, but, and like we said, they'll be an underdog to Ohio State if they meet in the finals. Fernando Mendoza, Bill Simmons, I don't know if you heard the injury jinx. He's talking about all the IU play or Indiana players. Halliburton goes down. Danny Dimes goes down. Fernando, just lock your doors, man. Don't go out for the next 3 weeks or whatever before you play, because Simmons has really already laid the jinx on him.
Did he? Does it count that he went down in the first play of that game when Curry took that shot on him? So maybe that was his injury moment. It was actually impressive. He came back in that game. It's also fun that he has his brother on the sideline. So when he goes out, there's another Mendoza that runs right into the game.
So many Mendozas.
Many Mendozas, and it does feel like he's the Heisman Mendoza at this point. We can
no doubt. You called that, Tate. I mean, on the 5th time around when we picked the Heisman winner, I think you got that right. I thought it was going to be Julian Saying. It went back and forth with the interceptions in that game, but it ended up being Mendoza led. But it's so funny. We have now gone over these teams. We haven't even really talked about an SEC team. Georgia right there, number 3 at plus 550. What do you think of them?
I like the draw for Georgia. I really do. I mean, Tulane, Ole Miss, I feel like both those teams, obviously Summerall, 1 foot out the door. Golding still trying to figure out his footing as the head coach. Also, he was the coach of the defensive unit of that group, which they aren't the best defense, Ole Miss. Obviously, their magic comes on the offensive side of the football. It's good that Charlie Weiss Jr. is calling that game. But again, the draw for Georgia is great. If they get Ole Miss in that second round, as we suspect, I think that they handle business. Kirby Smart's just the better version of Golding when it comes to being a defensive coach. And that defense, you were trying to figure out who the best defense is. Obviously, Ohio State is sort of the right answer, but Georgia looked the part against Alabama. I mean, I don't really know. Like, Ty Simpson's like sliding down 10 yards behind the line because he doesn't want to get hit anymore by this Georgia defense. It feels like they got the pass rush back. The back end looks a whole lot more secure than it did earlier in the season. So it's a clean path for Georgia, and I like Kirby Smart. When you're just looking at the coaches here, that as far as the matchups, I still think I would take Kirby Smart pretty much over an Elko, over a Golding, over a Ryan Day. Like, I feel good about Kirby Smart in that spot, and with those odds at plus 550, I think it's a good draw for the Dogs.
I think you're right. I mean, I picked them all to win it all in August over Clemson. That's definitely not happening, but this plus 550, they really showed me something. They showed me something, Tate, in the SEC championship game. But honestly, people think of this like, Georgia, they're an also-ran because they're not undefeated at this point. They beat Tennessee. They beat Ole Miss. They killed Texas. They avenged that Bama loss last week. So I just don't know if Gunner could win 3 in a row now. I have that feeling about almost all these quarterbacks, and they would match up against Ohio State in the semis if it came to it, but I feel like plus 550 is fair for Georgia.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the quarterbacks like kind of on the list here. Is there one quarterback that you trust outside? I mean, as saying Mendoza kind of feels like the right answer. Then you got Dante Moore, Baron Morton, Marcel Reed, Ty Simpson, Carson Beck. I feel like trusting Carson Beck is a doozy. But those odds are a little tasty. And if we get a situation, Sal, let's say that Miami goes to A&M, gets the upset, then they upset Ohio State, and we get Georgia versus Miami, Carson Beck revenge game, that would be a great storyline. I
mean, just the fact that the no one believes in us energy is going to be carried by a couple of teams here. Ole Miss for sure, who the whole country is going to be rooting for, right? Unless you're and Miami. I mean, this is and they have that common opponent with A&M, Notre Dame. They're a 3.5-point dog. I haven't decided which way I'm going yet, but this is your guy now, Carson Beck, Tate. He's the only thing the ACC has to bring respectability back to the conference.
Yeah, we need him. We need all of Carson Beck. I like Ruben Bain on the defense. Maybe that Miami defense can be the difference for that group. But going down to College Station and winning a game, I do feel like the first round, getting to play a game at home, I know that, they have to play a game, so obviously there's no advantage, but I do feel like it's more fun, Sal. I wish these games were all on campus until we got to the Final Four, because when you go to the neutral site, it throws everything a bit off, and I feel like it's, the advantage of being the higher seed feels like, or the lower seed feels like it's not quite there anymore.
So all 4 bye teams lost last year, right? I'm not saying that's going to happen every year, but all 4 home teams in the first round won and covered fairly easily last year. So that is good. What you say about the campus thing is interesting, because I know for my son in Oregon, and they're home for James Madison, and who cares? It's probably going to be over like 20 minutes into the game. But those kids are all gone. They're gone like December 13th, right? So that's going to have to fill with the Eugene faithful there. Because like class is out of session there by the time that game rolls around. As far as Oregon goes, they're hoping to take that Ohio State's route last year, right? So they get that home game, and then they're going to, they lost that close one to Indiana. They beat Penn State probably the last week. Anyone thought Penn State was good. They beat Iowa, USC. Otherwise, like Dan Lanning's team, just like it felt like it took care of business. They have a superstar quarterback who could go far, but they have Texas Tech in the quarterfinals, and they're going to be a slight favorite as we look ahead to that if it happens. So I think plus 800 is fair for them, but that that Oregon Texas Tech matchup's going to be delightful.
Do you like the idea of Texas Tech being better than we've given them credit for? Because, you saw BYU talking about this team after the game. They're like, we lost to the best team in the country twice, and we're getting, punished for that fact. Do you think that they actually do have a consideration as the best team in the country? Because they did lose to Arizona State, but they also didn't have their quarterback in that game. So there is a little bit of a write-off there. And the defense does look good. I mean, the DNs, linebackers, they got a lot of stars on the defensive side of the football. I don't see much playmaking on the offensive side to really get him there.
That's the thing, right? When they go up against Oregon, where's the big plays? Barron Morton's fine. He's probably more than capable. He's 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and they have the running back, Cameron Dickey, he has like 14 touchdowns this year. But you're right. They lost that dumb game to Arizona State. They blew out BYU twice and Utah. Plus 900 might be just a little high. I know, like I said, underdog to Oregon in the second round, but they might be a team that can make some noise.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Last thing I want to hit, just playoff wise, in general, like I'm looking at like the Ole Miss situation. Is there there's really no Cinderella runs, right? We get them in college basketball.
Right.
Nobody wants Cinderellas. Everybody's mad about James Madison and Tulane even being in the tournament. But would Ole Miss fall under the Cinderella category? And is there a world where maybe Trinidad Chambliss can have one of those, Cinderella runs, a Kimba type run?
He's got me to the window a few times. This is a guy whose job was on the line every week, right? Like he was a backup, and he took him far and did great for Lane Kiffin. But we should probably just bet them because the world will be rooting for them. But big wins,
karma.
Nice wins with Florida, Oklahoma, LSU when they were good back then. So it's going to be a tough draw. I like that they get a home game to start. But I don't know if it's going to be a long run for Ole Miss at 22-1. I'm trying to see some others. Oklahoma at 50-1 is interesting because they have the same run as Alabama, who they play in the first round, and they'll be a slight underdog, but they're 50-1 odds instead of 22-1. So the numbers don't match up. But then again, John Mateer, I looked at his numbers, and he also fizzled a bit. 12 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Not going to get it done for more than one game, I don't think.
Yeah, Oklahoma's defense would be the way for them to really make a run. And John Mateer is super talented, as we both know. So maybe if he can get a little bit more rest, he's had quite a break here. Maybe he can get things together. But if I had to pitch anything for the CFP, it's like let's sandwich down the schedule, get rid of conference championship week, make that the first round of the playoffs. Schools are on campus. Obviously students are on campus at that point. And then everything can kind of happen. January 3rd is the national championship game as opposed to January 19th. We don't leak into the second semester. Guys can transfer that need to transfer. We figure out the transfer portal window. There's a world where we can figure this out, Sal. But as you know, common sense ain't common.
You're right. It's not common, and you're right. The bowls are destroyed. The playoffs are next, and they worked so hard to get this playoff system right. For years, we had nothing in playoffs, and now they have it. And now, if guys are going to opt out, that's going to suck. The only team we didn't mention, Tate, Texas A&M plus 1,700. This is a team I loved all year. They got by Notre Dame and maybe the game of the year. I like Marcel Reed. We talked about them going undefeated a few weeks ago. Then they got tripped up, but they won versus South Carolina and then laid an egg at Texas. But now their seeding is miserable. They went from having like a bye 2 weeks ago to a toss-up game against Miami, and then they'd face Ohio State if they got that. I don't think they're winning that one. So while 17-1 looks high for a team that lost once before December, it might be priced correctly.
Yeah, I would be interested to see if they could get back to the football that we saw earlier in the year. But again, they were kind of trending down late in the season. That Texas game, I can't kind of wipe out of my mind, which is sort of the issue with that team. And Elko's done a great job with that group. So we'll see if they can bounce back in College Station. That's going to be a big deal. We got some track to the futures coming up. We're going to talk about sort of what to expect with these seeds. We're going to do some specials. Shout out to FanDuel. They got some great specials out there for us. We're also going to, get ready for some over-under reactions. We're going to play my favorite game. And I saw that we had, Bill Simmons talking about me as a receiver, so maybe we can talk about that a little bit, Sal.
Yeah, I love it.
Fired up.
Got to get you into these college football playoffs. Nice.
I know. I'm ready. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will see you on the other side. Track to the future, over-under reactions, and more with myself and Cousin Sal. We'll see you in a few. Welcome back to the Ringer Gambling Show. I'm your host, Tate Frazier. We're having some fun here. We just talked college football playoff. We got a lot of time. Army-Navy this weekend. We'll get to that game. We'll talk a little bit about that. But let's do some track to the futures. Let's look at the CFP seed specials, conference specials in general, because there's a lot there. Go to FanDuel, sportsbook.com right now. You can find all of this stuff there and make your decisions. But we got some thoughts on this because there's some great specials out there and maybe some value on the board, which is hard to find in this, Sal. But you like a little Big Ten special, if I'm seeing this correctly.
Yeah, and by the way, there's lots of fun stuff. Like they've NCAA tournamented this thing, right? What will if you add the seeds up, all it'll come to, with this team go to the Final Four? Will they go to the Grade 8? All that. They don't call it the Grade 8. But one thing we
need to race to 10, I think. Yeah.
The race to 10. That's exactly right. Put that in. Race to 10, Indiana, Ohio State would have been a fun one for this past week.
Right.
Race to 10 points. But don't tell my son Archie. He'd be very upset if he heard I was ignoring his Ducks right now. And there is an option for just a Big Ten team winning this whole thing. I think it's like minus 170 or something. But I think there's more value in Indiana or Ohio State winning this. Those two teams versus the field, minus 115. They were the two best teams. They were the two most balanced teams for 3 months. 1 and 2 in Heisman Trophy candidates and quarterbacks, right? 2 top 10 defenses, 1 and 2 in fewest touchdowns allowed in the country. And they could meet in the finals, which means this could cash before they even square off for a second time. So I'm going Indiana, Ohio State. Decent payout there at even odds versus the field.
Yeah, I like that call. And obviously, if that, kind of ends up being the game, we just saw it 3 weeks ago, which also makes the conference championship game even more of a conversation at that point. Because it's like, why are we going to waste the national championship matchup when we're going to see it in a couple of weeks? So I like that as an option there. Indiana, Ohio State versus the field. Sal is buying in on the Big Ten. I guess this would work. I'm going to take 2 top 4 seeds advance to the semifinals. You can get that number at plus 180. You mentioned it last year. The buys came back to bite those teams. So I still feel like we're going to get a little bit of that, not all the way at the same level as last year, but I'm going to go 50-50 shot here. And I think the 2 seeds that end up advancing, I'm going to take the Georgia Bulldogs and I'm going to take Ohio State. I think those are the 2 teams of the top 4 that move on. I'm a little bit worried about Indiana seeing Alabama at a neutral site. I just think that's going to do a little mental, loop on them a little bit. And then I think Texas Tech just gets, kind of shocked by the Oregon Ducks explosive offense. So those are sort of my 2 teams that I would knock out. But again, if just 2, even if they win and it's the 2 of them as opposed to the 2 teams I like in Ohio State and Georgia, it doesn't matter because 2 top 4 seeds advancing doesn't matter.
It has
who
to be
the
exactly
2 top,
2.
Yeah. Just
exactly 2,
2,
right?
Yeah.
Plus 180.
Plus
yeah,
180.
I like that. And there's a lot of hedge potential in that too. So if you get far enough, I like that.
Yeah, take it. Plus 180. And Indiana, Ohio State, if you buy in, you can take that as well. Next up, let's go to the AFC North, track to the future here. The AFC North winner, right now the Steelers are the favorite at minus 155. Mike Tomlin was on the hot seat, and all of a sudden he responded as expected. Ravens plus 160. Harbaugh might be on the hot seat now at this point, and we get the Cincinnati there at plus 1,300. Who do you like in the AFC North? And I guess that's a little bit of a redundant question because I don't know if we like anybody in this division. So I
mean, it's like I like Cincinnati at plus 1,300, but it's not going to happen, so I won't give that out. I can't believe these are our choices, right? This is like, what are you going to eat? You're going to eat expired eggnog or reindeer feces? Like I'm not interested in either. Honestly,
I'll take the eggnog.
You'll take the eggnog. That's the Steelers, right? Even though we can't figure out what we're going to see week to week with them, and I guarantee they don't know either. But really, this is more of a pick against the Ravens, who are a mess. They have at Cincy, the Patriots, at the Packers, and at the Steelers, week 18. I see 3 or 4 losses there. I said on Simmons, they could be 6-11. You could get 9-1 odds for that right now. It's amazing what's become of this division.
Yeah, I think there's a mutiny happening in Baltimore right now. I don't want to speculate too much, but it does feel like they need a new, fresh voice in that locker room, and we'll see what happens there. Aaron Rodgers did a good job defending Mike Tomlin last week, and it felt like it did, help a little bit on the field, so we'll give him a little bit of credit, but I'm right there with you. I'm going to take Pittsburgh at -155. It just feels like, of course, they make the playoffs. They do no damage. They're no threat in the playoffs, but they do win the division. They do make the playoffs, and I guess that makes Aaron Rodgers a happy boy on Christmas. So -155, we will take that in the AFC North. Now let's flip forward, track to the future. NFC South winner. This is also a fascinating division. We get the Bucs -320 right now. The Panthers at +260. Sal, do you still believe in Baker and the Bucs at this point?
I know where you're going. Was Ruiz on this show where he had them was it this show where he had Baker 16th and I was furious at him?
Yeah, you told him to recheck his rankings. Yeah.
I have to recheck my own rankings because he has been awful. I think he's 35th and out of 36 quarterbacks and what a projected offense, whatever the hell it is. But I hate this Tampa team. I have them to win the division in August. I loaded up on them to beat the miserable Saints at home, and they couldn't do that. And yet I don't see them blowing this division. They have 2 versus Carolina. Well, Carolina has 2 versus Tampa. They're at New Orleans and then Seattle. Tampa's got Atlanta, at Carolina, at Miami, and then Carolina. The number doesn't make sense. You have the better odds, Tate. Take it away. I'll take Tampa and lose. You can take the big number here, which was
I'm just I feel like Carolina Mike. First, it was the Meow Mix podcast that quit this season, and then the vibes started to turn in the right direction for the Carolina Panthers. Then we had Carolina Mike come into the mix and started singing about $150,000, and it was just all good vibes for the Panthers. And I do feel like the Panthers had the momentum on their side right now. I don't know what it is. Bryce Young was overhated. I was right there with everybody. I'm still trying to figure out how he's the Steph Curry of football, but I'm starting to see some signs of it. I'm starting to see a little bit of that, Sal. So +260. Obviously, there was a lot more value on this even 2-3 weeks ago. It was all the way up to $850 at one point for the Panthers to win this division. I remember they were a cross-off team week 2 for Simmons when you guys were talking about it on Guess the Line. So they've come a long way this season. I just like the vibes on this team. Rico Dowdle's been a nice spark as well. Feels like him and Chuba Hubbard have figured out how to kind of be a 1-2 punch with each other. So I don't know. I just feel like Carolina, they got the momentum. They got the good vibes. And boy, are they due for something. So I know everybody, claims that they're the team that's the most downtrodden. But, man, the Carolina Panthers under Dave Tepper have just been absolutely terrible. So +260. After that Rams win, I started to believe. So I like it.
You know what? We're going to get a Bryce Young, Bo Nix Super Bowl, so we might as well just get used to it. That's just
let's have some fun.
That's what we deserve.
Hey, they're 2 top 12 picks, right? I mean, that's
that's
the takeaway there. They're first-round picks, and they're matching up in the Super Bowl as expected. But, yeah, +260, I'll take them, and I'm sure Baker will figure it out and end up winning that division. But for now, there's hope, and hope is a dangerous thing in the NFL. Last one, Sal, track to the future, NFL win total specials. If you go to FanDuel, you can find all of these. They got 8+ wins, 10+ wins, 12+ wins. You can go all the way up to 14, whatever it is. Who do you like, and where's their value for you on the board?
Not great number here at -130, but 49ers 12 or more wins. They have 9 now. They're coming off rest. They had a bye. They're home for the Titans. That's 10. They're at the Colts. Let's see if they could beat Phil Rivers or worse. I would think so. And then they're home for the Bears and home for the Seahawks. They would just need one of those to get to 12. I'm not sure if that Week 18 game will mean anything to Seattle. I'm not sure I trust Purdy in the playoffs, but I like them to get to a dozen wins at -130.
Yeah, it feels like they just end up with a dozen wins. I love that NFC West division. Just a lot of good teams there, and it feels like one of those 3 teams, I don't know which one, but you could argue any which way you want with the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Niners to end up representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. So I like that pick there at 12+ wins. I'm going to go back to the Aaron Rodgers Pittsburgh Steelers well. I'm just looking at the schedule, Sal, and I don't really know what to take of the next Monday Night Football game because this Dolphins team, they're their own version of a football conundrum. But for whatever reason, I think Pittsburgh figures out a way to win that game. Then they have at the Lions. I'm going to call that a loss. But then they get, at the Browns. I'll take that win. And then Ravens Steelers in the last week. Maybe the Ravens are just completely, putting up shop at that point and not really playing that game. And the Steelers can get an easy win. So that's 3 wins. If you add it all up, you get Steelers 10+ wins.
Not
and
bad.
You can get that number at +290. That feels like a good call. I don't know. I maybe there's they know something because the numbers, such an added proposition at plus 290. But
Yeah.
I like the Steelers at 10 plus wins.
When the Ravens were 1-5 and a slight underdog to still win the AFC North, everyone's like, including me, well, they have the Steelers twice still, and they'll win both those games. Like, oh, now I'd be surprised if they won one of those games. And so, yeah, you're right. That'll be the big one, Week 18, probably the Sunday night game.
Yeah, can't wait for the Dolphins to beat them on Monday night, and my whole theory gets completely blown up. But we'll see what happens. I'll take Pittsburgh and get them at 10 plus wins. Now we get to play my favorite game. A whole lot of fun. Over under reactions. I read you a statement. Sal, you tell me if it's an over, an under reaction. Let's start here. Josh Allen playing in the snow is the most enjoyable viewing experience for a football fan. You are the voice of the fans. Over
That's
or
right.
under reaction?
I've been told I'm the voice of the fans. I'm going to say underreaction. Throw a still of him sprinting to the end zone in a blizzard on the cover of Madden. Let's just do that already. It's a lot of fun. And the NFL, namely the AFC, is in a lot of trouble if there's no Josh Allen in the playoffs this year. So let it snow. Just a shame that they're probably not going to have a home game, but let's do it. I love that, Josh Allen.
I love that call. I love watching him play in the snow. He's just built for Buffalo. It is what it is. It's just like he's the guy that needs to be doing that. Next up, a lot of people are saying Taylor Swift has cursed the Chiefs. So I say to you, Sal, Patrick Mahomes will boycott the Kelsey-Taylor Swift wedding. Over or under reaction?
I'm going to say underreaction. In fact, I think he's going to boycott Kelsey's next wedding, too, whoever that's to. I don't know. Olivia Rodrigo, whoever it is. So
Selena Gomez is up in the box. Lena Dunham.
right.
Maybe Lena Dunham. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. Lena and Travis, of course. Listen, the people have declined wedding invitations for less, right? But I think Mahomes should just write, I regret to inform you that I will not be witnessing your nuptials based on the fact that you and everyone else on our offense decided to end our dynasty early without telling me. I mean, they dropped a lot of passes on Mahomes. He's not been great, but that is there's going to be a lot of side jokes at that wedding. Like whoever catches the bouquet, can she play tight end? Can she play tight end for us? Because that's what we need, something. But yeah, I say he skips the wedding.
Yeah, I think he's out as well. Also, there needs to be a study done on podcasting while performing for a team. It feels like it's a negative correlation there. I don't know what it is. If I'm an owner, I'm like, you do know podcasts. Like, you can go on as a guest as a podcast, but you can't have your own podcast. And I'm going to blame the podcast, not Taylor Swift. I'm going to be the bigger man here. I'm not going to blame
I like that.
Tate. So there
Let's
you go.
see how
New
Rich
heights.
Paul's
It's your fault.
Lakers react. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll put your theory to the test.
Game over. That might be what he says once they start trending down. Next up, the Miami Dolphins' latest 4-game winning streak has resulted in Mike McDaniel. Yes, that's right. Mike McDaniel, the DJ, saving his job. Over or under reaction, Sal?
I was like, oh my God, he might survive. I'll say underreaction, maybe. Like, I like having him around, all said and done, right? He infuriates everyone, including Dolphins fans, our friend JJ, so that's fun. They had a super cake schedule. So if they end up 9-8 or 8-9, what do they have left? Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Tampa, New England. All right, that's not easy. He's going to have to steal a couple of those probably to stay employed, but they should let him know ahead of time which of those 4 he has to win to keep his job.
And it does feel like Miami has a weird curse over the Patriots. Like they always win one of those games. So if he can win that game, that's a good PR win for everybody. And they're like, yeah, McDaniel's figured it out. And Tua's not throwing pick sixes every week. What a big win for the Dolphins. And JJ and all the Ace Ventura fans get very excited about the Dolphins coming back. Next up, Sal, the Army-Navy football game features the greatest rivalry in all of sports. Over or under reaction?
Oh, underreaction.
Salute
The cannon going off and the fullback handoff for 3 hours, 10-7 in every fourth quarter. How can you beat it, Tate? It's like, no, listen, everyone who thinks I'm being an a-hole refuses to watch 10 minutes of this game. So guess what? I bet it. I watch it. I could have this opinion. It's lackluster. It's boring to the outsiders. I watched a podcast with Al Michaels and Costas ranking the sports rivalry, Mount Rushmore. Let's hear yours, Tate. Do you put Army-Navy on there? You have to put Duke, Carolina.
Of course.
Do you put
I'll
Red
put
Sox,
Ohio
Yankees?
State, Michigan on there. Yeah,
Okay.
Red Sox, Yankees.
And then who's the fourth? What do you go with fourth?
I'll go international. Barcelona, Real Madrid.
I'll stop with that. I'm not.
Yeah.
There's no Mount Rushmore in Europe.
Well, that
That's
is
not
true.
where
I
we
guess
go.
if we keep it
Yes.
domestic at that point.
You do Chicago. You do Bears Packers, or do you do Dodgers Giants? Or
I'll do Lakers Celtics.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lakers Celtics, of course.
Yeah, I'll put them there.
That's what
Maybe because it does feel like there's still just some sort of weird.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah,
that's the fourth. I think that's the four that they had. They decided between Lakers Celtics and Bears Packers, but maybe
Packers. That's
it's just only Bears Packers is Army Navy. It's like they've only because they've played for 300 years doesn't mean it's the best rivalry, right?
Also, it feels like the Packers kind of own. I'm always of the opinion that like there needs to be sort of like an even, kind of spill on both sides. That's why Louisville, Kentucky, to me, I don't really have an interest in that rivalry. Like Kentucky dominates the rivalry. When Louisville catches up with 50 wins in a row, then I'll hear out the argument. You know what I mean?
A little closer.
Yeah. Maybe the Bears can figure that out, and we can get to that point. Last one, Sal. Fernando Mendoza, Diego Pavia, Jeremiah Love, Julian Sand are the exact quartet that should be invited to the Heisman Trophy ceremony. Over or underreaction?
Yeah, underreaction. These are the guys. Also, it's a waste of time for the other three to show because Fernando Mendoza's getting it. 33 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, almost 3,000 yards, undefeated, beat Ohio State, beat Oregon, beat Illinois at the time, was top 10. He threw 5 touchdowns against them. But I'm wondering what kind of odds, Tate, you could have received for Arch Manning, Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, and Carson Beck not getting invited to the Heisman ceremony. In August, like 300 to 1. I mean, what a nutty year it's been.
It might have been 3,000 to 1. We next year we need to remember this, that the preseason is just completely a guess. I mean, it was so bad this year in college football. It wasn't even close. I mean, you look at some of the CFP top 12 predictors from some of the quote unquote experts prior to the season. Right. I mean, most people had Clemson winning the national championship. If they didn't have Clemson, they had Penn State to win the national championship. Those felt like the consensus top 2. Cade Klubnik was out there for Heisman for a lot of people. Garrett Nussmeier for Heisman. So again, none of it made sense this season, and we should learn a lesson from this, Sal. And I hope we clip this for the future. Yeah, I want to learn something.
Clip for the future. It's our segment.
Collect that for the future. There you have it. My favorite game. I was going to ask you if you are the voice of the fans and get an over-under reaction, but it feels like you're going to take that mantle, right? I mean, you got to be. You got to speak up for these people.
I'm the voice of the fans. I want everyone's starting quarterback to start, and I want teams that are trying to win to win. That's a good. Shame on me. Shame on me.
I'm glad you're not going to defend the billionaires. You know what I mean? That's what we need. We need more of that in this world. Yeah. Sal's a man of the people, man of the fans. We love to see it. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got Jimmy V Classic this week at MSG. Yes, we're going to talk a little college basketball. We also got some Saturday showdowns that we're going to hit. And then, of course, we're going to give you our picks for Tuesday night, our best bet. So we'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to the Ringer Gambling Show. I'm your host, Tate Frazier. And Sal, we get to talk some college basketball. How excited are you for this? They're going to take over on Saturday.
I love it. Jimmy V Classic. Don't give up. Don't ever give up on college basketball. So it's Clemson against BYU, right? BYU 5.5-point favorite. Clemson lost at Alabama. Now go to Provo. And this tell us about AJ DeBanza and this top 10 ranked BYU team. Did they compare him to Kevin Durant? What does that mean?
Yeah, they're saying he might be the number 1 pick. He's a talented player, has some incredible shot making, incredible athlete. I assume he's going to be the number 1 or number 2 pick, so he's a lot of fun to watch. But I kind of like Clemson in this game, Sal. MSG, neutral site. Clemson, a live dog in this one. The line minus 5.5, 150.5. BYU has been tested a few times, and they've been able to escape. Dayton, probably the best example of that. Dayton felt like they were in control of that game, and fortunately for BYU, they were able to find a way to win that one. DeBanza will play great in MSG, as always, because he knows the big stage is there. But I kind of like Clemson to cover this number. I'm not going to take a money line, but I think they're going to cover that number. It's going to be a close game.
I'll jump on with you. That's nice. The other one, the main event, Florida defending champs versus Dan Hurley's squad. UConn been winning big games without Terrace Reed. They took out Kansas at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. Did they get him back tonight? 4.5-point favorite, UConn. The line suggests that he probably is coming in for this one.
Yeah, I think so. And Florida's front court is elite, and they are the same front court that won the national championship last year. These are the two teams that modern college basketball heads are just talking about as like sort of the face of the future, right? Dan Hurley, Todd Golden, they run these great offensive sets. They have some great analytics behind their decisions and what they end up running on blob plays, slob plays, all this different stuff. So it's going to be a fascinating matchup on the offensive end, especially. I still like UConn in this game. I just think they got the depth. They're going to have the advantage with the crowd. You know, they call it Stores South, right? They get in there in MSG and take over. So I like UConn in this game, and I like them to cover that number.
Is it South MSG? I guess it is South. I'll check
Store
it out.
South. That's what they say.
I guess
Yeah.
it's South.
It's Cameron North, Store South. St. John's just calls it home. So a lot of people
So
claiming
bad.
MSG.
Need a weather vane to figure out these rivalries here. All
Right.
right, tell us. We'll look ahead. What if people don't want to watch Army Navy Saturday? I know
Yeah.
it's like 4 days from now, but what's good?
Yeah, we got John Calipari taking on Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a team that a lot of people like to win the national championship. I think I gave them out on this show, but they're reeling a little bit. But that game's in Dallas. Should be a good one, a good matchup between guards there. Memphis, Louisville at Louisville. That's a good one. Kansas at NC State. Darren Peterson, the presumed number one pick, will be playing in that game. We got Indiana, Kentucky. That's always an electric matchup. This will
Blue
be in
Bloods.
Rupp Arena.
I don't care what
Yeah.
anyone says. Those are Blue Bloods.
Yeah, Indiana. They're right there. And then this is probably the best game of the day. Number 2, Arizona versus number 12, Alabama. That game is in Birmingham, but it really should be a good one. And honestly, Arizona is now number 1. I had them at number 2 just based on last week. But yeah, they're the number 1 team in the country. So traveling down to take on Nate Oates and the Crimson Tide. So that's a really good game. And then
Could
if you're on
be
the West Coast, go ahead.
Sorry. No, that wonder if that's a trap game for undefeated Arizona, right?
Oh,
Cole
yeah.
Pete's been doing everything he wants, but heading to Birmingham. But go ahead. Yeah, there's one more.
I would take Alabama in that game. Not that we're giving out picks here, but this is for everybody to watch. I would take Alabama there. And then UCLA Gonzaga in Seattle at Climate Pledge Arena. So that's going to be a good game on the West Coast. So
Love it.
Great Saturday, Sal. A lot of good stuff going on.
Love it. Good times. I look forward.
Yeah.
Let's just fast forward to Saturday.
All right, let me hit the button here. We'll do it right now. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to give you our Tuesday best bets. Again, college basketball. If you're not watching, now is the time to tune in, and we will be right back after the break. Welcome back to the Ringer Gambling Show. Tuesday night, we got our best bets on the board. It is NBA Cup time, so I know, Sal, you were all the way locked in. You love the NBA Cup. It's your favorite time of the year. Everybody talks about it. We got some good games tonight. Heat Magic, Knicks Raptors on the board. I'm going to take the Magic. I feel like a lot of, there's a Heat love. A lot of people love the Heat and their offense right now, but I'm buying into the Magic. I think they're going to win this game at home, so I'm going to ride with Orlando in this one, and I'll take a money line in this game, Sal. How do you feel about that?
If you see a graphic that says Tate's pick Spurs over Lakers, it's because he thought that game was tonight, and he's also going to that game. So he's too many.
I thought I
too
was
many
going
gummies
tonight.
in the
I think I'm
morning.
going tomorrow night. So
Illinois 4.5 over Ohio State. Eastern Europe, Tate hits the road. Keaton Wagler has his way against the Buckeye guards. Underwood's team 3 in a row against Ohio State. 74-68. Illinois clean up the glass and cover the 4.5.
Love it. Well, there you have it. The Ringer Gambling Show. We appreciate everyone tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Must be 21 or older and present in select states, or 18 or older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. You must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 or older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE New York in New York.